The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, that was really loud. Welcome to the Weyburn Chamber of Commerce Municipal All Candidates Forum, held in Weyburn, Saskatchewan, October 30th, 2024. My name is Monica Osborne, and I am the Executive Director with the Weyburn Chamber of Commerce. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the traditional lands referred to as Treaty 4 territory, and that the City of Weyburn is located on Treaty 4 territory, the lands of the Cree, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, and on the homelands of the Métis Nations. We respect and honor the treaties that were made on all territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we are committed to move forward in partnership with Indigenous nations in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. A few housekeeping items. The exits are to my right, as well as the doors that everyone came in. Our muster point will be across the street by the cenotaph. Washrooms are through the back door, ladies to the right, men to the left. And if you are feeling unwell, please let someone know beside you and we can help get you some assistance. Tonight, I would like to thank all of the candidates for their participation this year's for running for the municipal election. It is a very admirable venture. The Chamber would like to thank you for your commitment, and we wish you the best of luck. Now, I do want to make a quick mention. We do have candidates up here that are running for council, but it can start at the youth level. Youth Council in Weyburn is currently looking for a couple more youth to serve on their youth council. Tomorrow is the deadline, but if you do know anyone that is attending the Weyburn Comprehensive School that are in grades 10 to 12, we encourage you to put their name forward or encourage them to be part of that. The youth is our future, and we look forward to having them serve in our community. If you want more information on how to submit information or get information, please come see me after tonight's forum. The Chamber holds these forums as a service to our members. So thank you for our members here in attendance tonight to ensure that your voice is being heard and your questions and concerns are being answered by those that you will be voting for in a few weeks. We would like to thank our partners at Access Communications for providing community programming for this event. Access is recording this forum and will be aired on various dates and times in the coming weeks, and it will also be on their YouTube channel by tomorrow afternoon. Please check on our Weyburn Chamber Facebook page for updates on those future dates on Access. As well, we would like to thank Cleo Kader for our sound production for tonight. Our moderator tonight is Stephen Wilson of Golden West Radio, and I will be the timekeeper. Now I would like to hand over the microphone to our moderator, Stephen Wilson.
Thank you, Monica. We will now move into this evening's forum. To start the evening off, I will pose prepared questions to the candidates on behalf of the Weyburn Chamber of Commerce members. Because of the number of candidates running in this election, not every candidate will have the ability to respond to every question. Earlier today, under the supervision of a third party, the Chamber administration assigned randomly generated numbers to each candidate. Then, for each question, the corresponding numbers were drawn from a hat. This method was used to determine which candidate will answer which question. Candidates will be given 2 minutes to respond to each question, and they will remain seated for their response. Questions posed from the public were to be received prior to the forum, and no questions will be taken from the floor this evening. Candidates will be given 1 minute to respond to each question that was posed prior to the forum. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the candidates for Weyburn City Council in alphabetical order. Introducing the mayoral candidates, not in attendance tonight, is Bruce Croft. In attendance tonight, Jeff Richards and Marcel Roy. The council candidates are Todd Bedore, John Corrigan, Larry Heggs, Ryan Janke, Laura Morissette, Dana Pretzer, Kelly Sidlowski, and Lori Weyburn. Now, each candidate will have an opportunity to respond to the following questions as they've been drawn, posed by the Weyburn Chamber of Commerce Board and members. The first question. The Downtown Revitalization Program was the first step in supporting small business growth in our community. What would your next step be for retaining and developing small business within Weyburn? And the first to answer this question will be Ryan Janke.
Thank you, Stephen. So businesses have told me, downtown in particular, that the busiest day of the year for them quite often is the day of the car show. And what's different about the car show is that we shut down 3rd Street and part of Souris Avenue and turn it into kind of a sidewalk event and bring a whole pile of people down there. And that's the kind of thing that our community needs to invest in more. Now, if you get the City of Weyburn alerts or have the app or even have to find a place to park with all the construction going on at the theater site next door, then you know I have no compulsions at all about blocking off traffic on 3rd Street. We can set up all kinds of things like that. We can do sidewalk fairs, we can do street fairs, bring in a band. There's other communities do this. You see this kind of thing in the States. Moose Jaw's had a lot of success. There's an opportunity for the city to partner with the chamber, with the downtown business community, and expand what we're already doing with great work on downtown revitalization to make this into sort of a community center where we just bring all the traffic back downtown that we used to have. I mean, I think everybody sees that picture that floats around at Christmas every year of how big and light or lit up Main Street looked in 1975 or whatever it was. There's nothing stopping us from bringing that back and making it like that again. Now, as far as the actual development, one of the things that I like to encourage our development officers to promote are things like the commercial incentive program, which is available for new businesses that allows you to, revitalize the exterior. I love this one because it doesn't allow, it's not the kind of thing where we're asking existing businesses to focus on things that are bringing in new businesses, but you can turn your own businesses into something that's new and exciting, and we're seeing that right now. A high tide raises all boats, and the more we can do to benefit the new businesses, the better off everyone's going to be.
Thank you. Next to answer that question is Laura Morissette.
I would encourage open dialogue with the Chamber and our small business community to see what is working for them and what could be improved. I would also help to promote the business supports that we have in our community, such as Community Future Sunrise, along with educating our business community about the programs that are available through the city.
Thank you. Next to answer is Lori Weyburn.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Lori Weyburn, and I'm very pleased to be here running for council. The question is asking us the Downtown Revitalization Program, how it has been implemented in the community. I had worked for the City of Prince Albert for 30 years in municipal government, and my responsibilities worked with the Downtown Business Association as well as many of the arts and cultural historical organizations. And one of the things that I can confirm without question is that by getting your community involved in downtown activities, or like that pumpkin patch event that worked last weekend, that's the kind of event that we need to hold in the downtown core on a regular basis, because it will attract everybody from the community, not everybody. It will attract different people for different functions, and bring the businesses, bring the residents to the various businesses along the area here. Yeah. And I think more incentives, more awareness about what programs the City of Weyburn does offer its businesses, I think is critical, and more information should be brought forward to talk to the businesses, to figure out what kind of business incentives they are requiring. Thank you.
Thank you. And the last to answer this question is Larry Higgs.
Thanks, Stephen. This project really is just the tip of the iceberg when you talk about creating or expanding existing or bringing in new business. Some of the ways in which City Council on a municipal level could help with that is to create some service standards that would allow for the permitting and the licensing procedures to be online, submitted online, and for people to be able to understand where their application is in the process. So I think that is one piece. We'd also should have a look continuously, and this isn't just when it comes to revitalization, just in general, at some of the policies when it comes to Weyburn Builds, the Home Builds program, all those types, including the economic development levy that we have, to ensure that we're still remaining competitive and that the competitive nature of business is met through those conversations. Those conversations obviously have to happen within the chamber, the network, the people that are in this room, the residents of the community, and that's what will help us revitalize and change and build that forefront within the area and the community. So.
Thank you. Our second question for tonight. What are your thoughts on how the City of Weyburn can make our community tax attractive with respect to attracting more economic investment, as well as supporting existing businesses in their plans to expand and grow? And the first answer to this question is Todd Bedore.
Thanks, Stephen. The reality is Weyburn is extremely tax competitive already, and when it comes to our tax rate. Another reality is that costs are rising every year, and if you don't have a bigger tax base, we're all taking the brunt, because it's rising every year, and there's no way to get around that. Everything goes up every year. I don't believe there's a cookie-cutter approach to attract investment. I think first we need to put ourselves back on the map. We are a beautiful, great community, and I think when you live in here, you kind of think this is the way everywhere is, but we're pretty lucky. We are in a competition for every dollar, and I honestly think sometimes we're losing that competition. I do believe in some tax concessions, some holidays, some credits to attract new investment and encourage property improvements and expansion. There's some great programs now, but we need to continue and expand these. Council needs to engage with current and future investors to ensure we represent what they want, not what we think they want. Businesses would rather, small businesses would rather split $100 10 ways than have $100 leave Weyburn. Thank you.
Thank you. Next to answer is John Corrigan.
Thanks, Stephen. Good evening, everyone. A little different crowd than the last time we were up here. It's kind of empty in here. We were just speaking to a camera, so this is nice. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. I too believe Weyburn is very competitive when it comes to business tax with other communities within the province. Can that change? Absolutely. It's something that you have to continue to reevaluate all the time. The one aspect that we do have is a commercial incentive program where businesses are available for grants to improve their facilities, facades, site improvements, that sort of thing. Also for new construction, depending on the size of the construction, there's tax abatements available from 1 to 5 years. Also for vacant buildings, if there's a business that's looking to expand, there's abatements there. Now, this is one program. Is it perfect? Probably not, but we have to continue to look at it and evaluate it on an annual basis. What you'll hear from me a lot tonight is when it comes to situations like this, we have to collaborate. It's not just a decision by council. We have to discuss this with the chamber, business leaders within the community, and the community itself to see what direction we need to go. The other aspect of this is, how do you keep attracting people to Weyburn to be able to build business? Well, it's making Weyburn attractive through continuing to invest in infrastructure, making it safe through our emergency services, who do a fantastic job, and also keeping our recreational facilities up and running as much as we possibly can. and improving them. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Kelly Sidlowski.
Thanks, Stephen. I think it's most important to keep our taxes low by spending the dollars that we have wisely. There are requirements that we have to do with our tax dollars. I recently learned that every 1% increase is about $100,000 to work with. So in the grand scheme of things, there's not a whole lot to work with. I think we can do this by empowering and encouraging our employees for the city to explore different ways to manage and spend effectively. Are there things that we've been doing for many years just because we've always done it that way? Or is there a different way we can look at doing it? Where we can look at other communities where they've had success in it, and we can copy that and implement it here. And lastly, I think that we have to keep in mind a fair split on residential and commercial taxation to keep taxes low for businesses. I think in the end it boils down to efficiency. Every tax dollar that we take from our taxpayers needs to be of value. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Dana Pretzer.
Tax attractive sounds good, and it is good. There's incentive programs. The provincial chamber has put forward a program to hold small business tax at 1% or less. The newly elected provincial government has said that they'll do the same thing. And the city of Weyburn can also do the same thing. But the bottom line is that people will be looking at their tax bills, business owners, homeowners. At the end of the session, they're going to look, well, how much more do I have to pay? Can we hold back our taxes? Well, we got to pay for things. It's just that simple. But maybe some things just have to be put on the back burner, because it's about time that the people maybe not pay as much as they've been, and we start keeping some of the dollars in the people's pockets. So tax attractive is great. There are incentive programs. There are things that can be done. Let's support small business. Let's agree with the 1% or less. Let's have incentives. But when the bottom line hits, you know, you could plan on a program or delay it for 5 years and then all of a sudden do it. Well, those costs have gone up, and we're going to put it on the backs of the taxpayer. Some may have to do a little bit less. You can only rob Peter to pay Paul for so long, and it's time that we change things.
Thank you. Our next question is for our two candidates for mayor. This question is, with the downtown revitalization program as a foundation, what specific actions would you prioritize next to support the growth and retention of small businesses in Weyburn? And we'll begin with Jeff Richards.
Great. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, everybody, for coming. You're going to hear a lot of the same answers, I think, that you've heard, because there's a lot of smart people up here. But I'm going to give you my answer. Small business is one of the hardest jobs there are in the world. I've done it. God bless her. My wife still does it. It is a bloody hard job. I think the process the city is taking as we speak right now is the right first step, and that's taking that downtown revitalization program downtown. Taking it downtown to the businesses that are down there and asking them, what can we do for you? Not what do you need, because we might not be able to provide that, but what can we do for you? I think one of the most exciting conversations that I'm hearing right now is, what does downtown even look like in 5 years? It might not look like it does right now, and I think that's very exciting to hear. Guys, when I talk to business owners all over the city, their problems aren't all the same either. And I think that there is likely not a one-size-fits-all solution to growing small business in Weyburn and to helping the small businesses come into Weyburn. I've often over the years asked this question, what would it be like if every business in Weyburn could hire one more person? Just think about that. There would be hundreds of new jobs in our community. That would be hundreds of people coming to our community. So maybe that's the questions we need to be asking as well. What would it take to get there? For you to hire one more person in your business, what do we need to do? And can we do that for you? So I think that's the next step. I think that's what I would do. I would say, what can we do to help? And I would venture this guess, adding 1,000 people to our population wouldn't hurt one bit. I think that would help.
Thank you. And now, Marcel Roy.
One of the things that I'd like to say, first off, again, is thank you for everyone for coming out. This is a very wonderful crowd we have tonight. When we get into small business, people are looking at the downtown, but what we have seen in the past 8 years, both Jeff's and I, City and Council, have seen is that we have a huge amount of small businesses operating out of their own homes also. And it's not just the small downtown core. The core needs to be beautified. The whole city is beautified. And I hear, as I go across the country, different people say, you've got such a wonderful looking city and a beautiful city. And that's what we have to do. We have to keep it an attractive city. We have to keep it a very safe city, which we have. We have good water and sewer infrastructure within our city. Our roads are improving. The problems, the issues that we are up against, I'll quote from a book that was written by Suma, that beginning in the 80s, we used to only have to pay 20% of the bills. And Mrs. Isabel Butters, the old mayor, said that too. We only had to pay 20%. The government paid, the federal or provincial paid before. It is now upwards of 40% and getting higher that we are having to pay. The province is pushing more down on us. The federal government is pushing more down on us. Our costs are going up. So we have to look to build. I agree with Jeff. But when we talk about economic development, let's bring more people in. Businesses will come in. And if you get more people coming in and to live in our city because of our attractiveness, we will develop much greater. Grants, cutting tax cuts and things, that costs everyone. It is, what we want to do is make sure what I want to do is be fair to everyone. And we need to just show that the city is a wonderful place to do business. That is the main thing that we have to do.
Thank you. Next question is for councillors. Weyburn prides itself on being the opportunity city. With regards to economic development, what is our community's biggest opportunity? And we'll begin with Lori Weyburn.
Okay. When I was looking at the fact that we are known as the Opportunity City, I also equated it to us recognizing that we have been identified as one of the best cities in Canada. Think about that a little bit further. Canada is pretty highly rated in the world, so kind of blend that together and really consider the fact that we live in one of the best locations globally. I think we need to take pride in that, and I think we need to take ownership to the fact that that's one of our assets. We really need to market that in order to attract new people to our ideal community. What my experience, or I should say, I was raised at Fillmore, so I'm a farm kid. I was born and raised out there. My mom lives here. My children have been here every summer taking swimming lessons, so they grew up in this ideal community for the summer. So I'm very pleased to be returning back to home, basically. With that in mind, recognizing that we are an opportunity city, I think we need to do a better way of marketing what we have in order to attract business. This little lovely document, that I've obtained off the city's website Profiling the Opportunity City, lists so many really critical percentages identifying why we are an ideal community to relocate business to and to attract new people to our community. One of the problems that I have found is the number of people moving into Weyburn over the last 10 years is not good. And it really concerns me that we need to do a better job at marketing what we offer. Thank you.
Thank you. And next to answer this question is Dana Pretzer.
Yes, we're the Opportunity City. We have a new hospital, we have a new school, we have businesses. We can support those businesses with incentive programs, low tax rates, advertise ourselves. It's the term "Why not Weyburn" has been thrown out there, so why not Weyburn? You know, but talk is cheap. We can have grandiose ideas that all of a sudden, well, if we had 1,000 more or 10,000 more people, well, that may not happen. Let's start with one new family or 10 or 100, and that's great. That being said, we also have some problems that need to be looked after. We have a broken pool. We have other things in the city that are screaming for help. You know, we talk a lot about it, but it's time to do something about it now. So yes, we're the opportunity city. A lot of people come here. We're a nice central hub. We're close to other places, and people can come and enjoy it, but let's make it better, and let's say, why not Weyburn?
Thank you. And next answer is John Corrigan.
Thanks, Steve. Opportunity city, what does that really mean? To me, it means a community that offers a lot, and we do. We're continuing to invest in our infrastructure. We've got a safe community. We've got great recreational facilities. And we've been named one of the top cities in the country. So our name's out there already. But does that bring people in? It does. People have interest. I've seen a number of individuals move here over the last few years from BC, Ontario, other places. Our population has grown since the last census. So those are positive things. And we can talk about, oh, if we increase by 1,000 people, if we do this, if we do that. But what could be the plan? Is Weyburn in a good position? Some would say we're maybe in a situation where we're at a detriment because we're so close to Regina. But then again, we're really close to the US. We're on a major rail line. We're on a major highway. Could we not work within the Southeast with our other community partners and create an economic hub in this area where goods and services come in and are distributed from here, which would generate jobs, create new business, more population, and help us to really promote the community of Weyburn, which is a great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Laura Morissette.
Thanks, Steve. I feel that Weyburn's culture as a diverse and inclusive community is the biggest opportunity. The number of newcomers continues to grow each month, and they are coming from many different countries. They bring with them some great business ideas, and they are providing new jobs. We also have a safe and vibrant community with lots of amenities such as the Spark Center, Tactical Parkway, Varon Place, and the Public Library. It's also of note that Weyburn's cost of living is lower than a major center like Regina, and we pride ourselves in being a city with a small town feel.
Thank you. For our next question, housing developments have been slowly decreasing throughout Weyburn. What approach would you take to incentivize residential development by local companies? And we'll begin with Larry Higgs.
Thanks, Steve. The residential development piece is sort of, we have a few things in place. The show home incentive program that was started, Weyburn Builds, a few of the other pieces that have been mentioned. But again, the need to include the people who are involved in those programs to make sure that they're working for them. We need to revisit those incentives to make sure that they're the right things for what the builders need and what the residents need as a tax base. Again, streamlining that permit process and approvals. There should be one point of contact at City Hall, whether you're building a garage or a home, that when you come in, you know exactly what's going to be required, what the timelines are to get that back to you, and the delays that it may take. And we certainly don't need any of those because that's all economic growth. I'm also a believer in the Why Not Weyburn campaign. I was part of that when it kicked off originally. I think that economic development and the city have an opportunity to bring that back to life and to bring it out to the forefront, to show people from across Canada, the people who are working from home, the people who are looking for an affordable housing, period. We have an opportunity here within the city to do that, and I think that that's just one more chance that we've got within that piece. So that's kind of how I think that we could drive that building piece.
Thank you. And next answer is Todd Bedore.
Housing starts are based on need, driven by population growth and a strong economy. I truly still believe we're in an affordability crisis across the country right now. So residential development is super high risk and very capital intensive if you're not selling a home or building a home that's already sold. We have a very large inventory of privately owned and city-owned residential lots right now. And I'm gonna reiterate what Mr. Councillor Heggs said there is we need to revisit some of these programs. Weyburn Builds commercial incentive program. I do believe the uptake hasn't been great, and what I'm hearing from people in the community, it's just not as much of a carrot for them to maybe take that jump. I'm gonna be a little reminiscent here on my previous job at Crescent Point, and we used to go back to a drilling rig, and when you drill one hole, it ends up employing like 745 different people. So I believe you could say that with a home as well. And that money, every time you build a home, it's construction, it's plumbing, it's everything, electrical, and that money just circles around Weyburn. So hopefully we can get it going.
Thank you. Kelly Sidlowski.
This is a conversation that has come up many times with people that I've met with. Weyburn has had some work putting in incentives in place, but I'll reiterate what Larry and Todd said. We need to talk with the local developers and see why they have a hesitation in doing this and what we can do to make this a little more attractive. We can also look at elsewhere with what is working. Mooseman, for example, was approved for funding from the federal government, their Housing Accelerator Fund this past year. So they have, I believe it's $30,000 for the first unit, plus additional funding for multi-unit housing. So is this something we can look at, or are there other grants? I think that shows the importance of working with our other levels of government and capitalizing on programs and grants that are available. Thank you.
Thank you. And Brian Jenke.
Thanks, Stephen. So yeah, we have the Weyburn Builds program and the new Show Home Incentive program. Both of these encourage developments and constructions of new homes, with the latter focusing on spec homes. These are great programs. I agree that we should constantly be revisited to make sure that they're still meeting the needs of the community in the current situation, but I will say that I'll put our tax package up against any municipality in the province. The real problem here is we're in an economy where there's a gap of several $100,000 between what an average family can afford to buy and what a builder can feasibly build. We are not going to solve that problem with tax incentives, but what can solve it is economic development. And we're in a good position for that right now. We've got the transload in our partnership with the RM with access to rail. Weyburn's got enough water and electricity to make most of the rest of the province jealous. We're an hour away from the international airport and even closer to the giant markets in the US. We've got the goods and services the world wants, and all we need to do is promote ourselves. And we can do that. I want to thank Dana and Larry for bringing up Why Not Weyburn, because I'm very proud of that, and I'm also very happy not to be the only guy who's going to keep saying that. My goal is to say Why Not Weyburn so many times that everyone's sick of hearing it, because I want everyone to be sick of hearing it, because I want that to be on the top of everyone's mind, not just in Weyburn, but all across the province. We've had a lot of success with that. I've talked to people who have come here because of that program as individuals. The next step in Why Not Weyburn is to start taking that to investors. Take that to businesses and say, why not bring your whole business to Weyburn? Why not expand here? Why not make this your next investment? Because when we can build that kind of economic development in our community, and we can, then the housing problem will start to evaporate very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next question is for our mayoral candidates. What steps would you take to make Weyburn more tax attractive for new economic investments while ensuring that existing businesses receive the support they need for growth and expansion? And we'll begin with Marcel Roy.
I think a lot of the candidates here have already mentioned it, and I'll point back to my colleague Ryan Janke, where you start talking about tax incentives. These tax incentives, if you're giving tax incentives out to other people, the rest of the community is losing out because they have to pay more for these because people aren't paying. So I am not in favor of tax incentives that way. Businesses will come because of their attractiveness to where we are, and we have to make this attractive. We have the transload station here. This is where we have grain, we have agriculture society here that we could upload and do a better improvement and start refining things. We have oil within our community that we're already doing. People have approached and tried to get fish farms going and greenhouses going, but we have lacked the will by the provincial government, which we need to get this going. We have to work, hopefully with the new provincial government, they will start looking at what is going on this way. So we have to work with our government partners, our senior partners, with the government that we have coming in now. They are looking towards the agriculture sector, and that is one of our strong ones. Oil is the other strong. And just as we as a community, let's just keep the roads, the water and sewer, all the beauty of the city going, our recreation facilities going. That is what our job is to do, not to be giving away money. We, as a municipalities, we are too small a tax base to be giving away money. That is up to senior governments to be giving the grants.
Thank you. Jeff Richards.
Thank you, and I apologize for the coughing. You've heard a lot of this before. Weyburn already has a favorable tax rate. I don't disagree. We can look at some of the things we're doing. Our residential, non-residential ratio right now is a little out of whack, and I think we're working on that, and we can bring it back into the right range. A quick stat on that commercial incentive program. In 2023, that program yielded roughly $4,600 on average to each of the businesses that took advantage of it. So it can work. I do support incentives for new and expanding businesses. I've supported them in the past. I will continue to do that in the future. And I support being flexible, excuse me, and what an incentive looks like. For some businesses, a lower cost of land might be more impactful than a tax abatement. I think our job is to meet with them, see what they need, and then come to them with a fair, equitable, and transparent incentive program. Our competitor down the road is doing that. We need to do that as well. When it comes to keeping tax low, you've heard me say this for years, we don't keep taxes low, we get more people paying taxes. So the taxes don't go up too much. We need more businesses here paying taxes, that's the bottom line. In my 8+ years with the Chamber, I advocated for this. I will continue to do it. We have to keep our community growing. We got one option, grow or go backwards, and I'm not interested in going backwards, so we have to grow. One of the factors that drove me to run for council the first time was that off-site development levy that you hear folks talk about. I championed that alongside a couple of former councillors. Folks, administration can't do this work. They can do the legwork. They can't lead it. We have to lead it. Your mayor and city council have to lead that work, and we have to keep at it. We have to keep reviewing these programs. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will be for the candidates for councillor. Canada has been shifting its focus towards green energy initiatives. What strategy should Weyburn take when introducing green energy to a resource-based community? And we'll begin with Kelly Sidlowski.
Sure. Working in land and contracts in oil and gas has been very interesting in this respect. I deal with a lot of land brokers and companies who previously, a few years ago, primarily dealt with 100% oil and gas. Right now, they find themselves up to a 60-40 split between oil and gas and renewables. Being that these projects are in their infancy, the regulations and policies are also in their infancy. So there aren't standardized documents or contracts for some of these projects right now, and these are just starting to take form. These need to put in by on the provincial level, falls under their jurisdiction. I think as a city we need to be open to all kinds of initiatives, and I think as time goes on and the provincial government has time to put some of these policies into place around these initiatives, we're going to see them continue to take shape. So overall, I think we should be open to considering all business opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is Lori Weyburn.
I don't think that the citizens of Weyburn are interested in having our tax dollars in, adopting green energy initiatives at this time. It can be argued that our fossil fuel resources is a backbone of our economic community. Although I don't think the city of Weyburn should take that lead in implementing green or clean energy initiatives, I do think we should evaluate the strengths and weaknesses of the energy resources should grants or funding resources become available by the provincial or federal sources. There are grants available out there. It's just a matter of having some person who's well enough informed with respect to provincial and federal agencies on how to access those dollars. And I do believe by having administration or hiring of a specialist to investigate those sources, they will become available to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Dana Pretzer.
It's no secret that our energy grid is need of work. But I think we've relied on, as citizens, our federal government and our provincial government and some of their nanny state legislation to tell us how we should do things. All we have to do is just look at the wind turbine fiasco. We have to look at the solar panel fiasco. In fact, I saw a documentary here the other day of the guy with two warehouses full of wind turbine blades and solar panels. Can't do anything with it because they're not recyclable. So what do? We've had the government come out and tell us that we'll be doing a great thing for our earth if we have a drink with a paper straw or eat a meal with a cardboard fork. Well, what's that done for us? It's just turned out to be a big bloody joke. So going back many years in this community, it was decided by the city at that time that they should change all the light bulbs in the Coliseum and the sports arena. So they did, and spent thousands of dollars doing it, and then a little while later they turned the lights on so they couldn't see anything. So they had to change them all back. So we're rushing too much ahead too quickly. We're spending a lot of money and not doing anything about it. Green energy is a good thing, but one thing for sure, what they're doing right now and what they're trying to force down people's throats is not right. Involve the people, do it right, but don't try and force these sorts of dumb ideas on the folks.
Thank you. And John Corrigan.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm not going to get into the federal and provincial policies at all because, quite frankly, green energy is not a municipal issue. We don't produce energy. If there's one thing that we can have an impact on, it's being environmentally friendly. So we certainly could ensure that our recycling programs are effective, expand them if necessary, and evaluate them on an annual basis. And with any new city builds, city facilities, we could make them as energy efficient as possible. If there are grants out there available from either provincial or federal government, we should take advantage of them. But the other aspect of this, of green energy initiatives, that is not within the municipal government purview, so I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you. Our next question. New business developments can create jobs and entice people to move to Weyburn. However, incoming residents also want to work in a stable community that supports them. What services should the city prioritize when wanting to retain residents? And we'll begin with Laura Morissette.
Thank you, Steve. Employer retention is something that I'm familiar with after working on the Doctor Retention Committee. Providing a welcoming community for the entire family provides a positive reason to stay here in Weyburn. As for the priorities, I'm proud of our emergency services, decreasing crime rates, amenities such as the Spark Center, Public Library, and Tattaqua Trails, and the improvements that we've recently made to our infrastructure. The city recently undertook the creation of a strategic plan, prioritizing what needs to be addressed first. With that in mind, though, it is a living document that can be amended at any time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ryan Jenke.
Thanks, Stephen. So the most important services, or at least most of the most important services in our community, are not going to come from the government. They're not going to come from City Hall. They're going to come from private business. And we need to have the right incentives to attract that, and I think we largely do. There needs to be a bit of a balance of this too. What we can't do is offer incentives that actually hurt the businesses we already have. We need to make sure we're doing things like the commercial incentive program that are great for new businesses, or they're also great for existing businesses. Now, there is a city, I won't name its name, 45 minutes down Highway 39, that fairly recently offered an amazingly good incentive on land, but they did it in such a way that they didn't even have the funds to build a road to the land they were trying to sell. We don't want to find ourselves in that situation. So I guess at the end of the day, we can do these incentives, but we don't want to do it in such a way that we're asking existing business communities to pay for their own competitors. So the answer to that, as we've talked about already tonight, is to grow the tax base. And I'll say again, we've had a lot of success with Why Not Weyburn. I've talked to people who came to that. I've talked to recruiters who say that they use the Why Not Weyburn site as part of their tool to convince people to move to Weyburn when they've got job offers from all over the place. And it's not always about the money. Sometimes it's about where you want to live. And those are the kind of things that I think are the most important. Now, if you can bear with me here, I'm going to go off script a little bit. I know the purpose of this forum is to talk about our own contributions as councillors and candidates, but I'm going to take a second here to recognize the hard work that Councillor Morissette and the late Councillor Mickle and others have done on the doctor retention program. They put a lot of long, hard hours driving to the airport, picking people up, trying to find jobs for the doctors' families to encourage them to stay here. I realize that's a provincial responsibility, but there's nothing more important. Nothing's going to chase families out of our community faster than not having a doctor, and that's some of the most important work we do, so I applaud them for that.
Thank you. Larry Higgs.
Thanks, Steve. Employee resident retention is huge, and it's an important factor for business. We all know that. Weyburn has a great start with that. We've got the Spark Center, we've got the rinks, walking paths, great libraries. So we've got a good start on that piece. The key is keeping it well maintained and keeping the infrastructure available to keep it running, and the costs that go associated with that. When I talk about the running of it, or the maintaining of the facilities, not the workers of within the city. I'm talking about the overall infrastructure piece that goes along with it and the cost. Excuse me. And based off of the recent study that was done by the city on the buildings and there's some aging infrastructure, and I don't think that's a secret to anybody that's in this room. All we have to do is look around. So the way in which we can combat that is through long-term strategic tax planning. So we can take that roadmap from that strategic plan of what our facilities will require in years to come and build from there and make sure that we're putting our funds where they need to go for the longevity of these facilities and keeping them open, because that's part of that is what attracts people to the community. Also, of course, continue to pressure SHA for healthcare professionals. That in itself creates its own demand and its own economy within a community of this size especially, and with the new facility, there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to work on some of those projects.
Thank you. Todd Bedore.
I think we need to continue to invest in our safe community. I think that's something that we as Weyburn residents take for granted a lot. This doesn't happen by accident. We are suffering from the same socioeconomic issues as every other town, but we invest, and we need to continue to invest in our safe community. The Spark Center is one of the crown jewels, and I joke and always say when I walk in there, I actually don't feel like I'm in Weyburn. I feel like I'm in Calgary or Edmonton or some of that, and I think sometimes we don't think we deserve something like that, but that's a pretty cool place. We need to invest in maintaining our facilities, and we need to plan for a new one as soon as the last nail goes into the current one, because I think sometimes we get a little far behind on our planning. The new theater, expansion of our trail system, Young Fellows Park, downtown revitalization are all great steps forward. We need to attract residents with the best-in-class amenities and not give them an excuse to spend their money elsewhere. I do think we need to refocus on our beautification of our city. I think our standards have fallen a little bit, and that is our first impression for our visitors. And if our standards slip, then it's going to so do our residents. So we need to work on that.
Thank you. And our next question is for our mayoral candidates. Weyburn is known as the Opportunity City, but in your view, what is our biggest opportunity for economic growth, and how will you leverage it as mayor? And we'll begin with Jeff Richards.
Great, thank you. You know, we've got a lot of things working in our favor right now, but to prioritize like you've asked, I think these are the three that I would identify here tonight. Number one, healthcare. Our new hospital is going to be up and running year and a half. We'll be getting services in there. So I think there's an opportunity for us as a city to go out and attract ancillary healthcare services. That is a big area of our city, and I think we can do work there, and I think we need to work with our provincial government to get that kind of work started immediately, by the way. Also, we're ready for growth. You've heard that. Our infrastructure is pretty good. Our water treatment plant is new. We've got lots of land that is developed. We've got lots of land that is serviced. We're ready for growth. That is a positive. But I think the bigger approach here, and it might sound a little bit like a cart before the horse thing, but I go back to, you've heard it lots, building our population, whether that's through the Why Not Weyburn campaign or whatever it is. I think we start attracting more people to Weyburn, we will become more attractive to business. We know that's how it works, and we have to work on that. So I think those things combined with the commercial incentive program, and I also think we need to get back to a mindset of hustle. The city used to prioritize sending people to the Calgary Oil Show, sending people to these retail expos, and we need to get back to that. We need to get a hustle mindset again up at City Hall so that we are attracting businesses. It worked and it can work again. And we also need the ear and the respect of our provincial government. The province of Saskatchewan meets regularly with industries that are looking to invest in Saskatchewan, and if we're not at that table, they're not hearing about Weyburn, and they need to hear about Weyburn. And we need them to listen to us. I'm pointing at them, but I shouldn't do that, I'm sorry. But we need to work with them, guys, because they can open doors for us as well. The future of this community is still happening, and we're a long ways from done. So I think we have to keep working on it. That's the kind of work that I promise you I will give.
Thank you. Marcel Roy.
Well, first off, I apologize in a way to you, Mr. Wager, because I'm going to keep pointing to you of what your job is going to have to be here for Weyburn. And secondly, you know, in all the years of being mayor, usually I'm third in line. We've got the federal and the provincial, and then myself speaking, and they say everything that I was going to say. So, and that's the way it was. Jeff said just about everything that I was going to say that you have to do. Though the biggest thing is that I want to add to it is that we do, and I'll point to you, Mr. Wager, we do need your help with it provincially. The SHA is broken on how they're doing it. It's not our job to retain doctors here. It's up to SHA to get that, and the provincial government has to wrestle the way SHA is. We're seeing, we've got the colleges, wonderful. They are starting CCA programs, they are starting registered nurse programs here, but for some reason in this area, our SHA will not give these graduates any full-time work, which they, if they're immigrants coming into here, need full-time work to get their papers. So they're going off to Prince Albert, or they're going off to Battleford, to somebody else, some other health district is doing it. Not all health districts are created the same. And there's a problem within our health district, Mr. Wager, that there is a problem that has to be addressed, and they have to look at what they're doing here with it to make us work, to make this city work. As far as other economic growth, we have a wonderful things. We have the railways here going south to Kansas City, the CP Kansas City Railway going south. We have the road right from our connections for the roads from the Regina hub all the way down to the States, right down to Houston, down to Texas. We can move our grains, we can move our oil if we so desire and have the development together. But again, as a municipal government, we cannot do this alone. We need the help from our provincial, we need the help from our federal government, and that we be known. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next question is for candidates for councillor. What do you believe to be the top 3 challenges of small businesses in our city, and how might you, as an elected official, address them? And we'll begin with John Corrigan.
Thank you, Steve. You know, I read this question initially and thought, okay, I run a small business. What are my top 3 things? So I thought of them, and I thought, okay, I have neighbors on each side. What would their top 3 things be? And I bet you they'd be completely different. So the more I thought about that particular question as to what city council or what the city of Weyburn could do for me as a small business owner, or my neighbors as small business owners, would be to do what the city does best. And that's stay out of my business and do what they do. The city has a responsibility to invest in infrastructure, water, sewer, roads. Doing that, we're seeing improvements over the last couple of years. Make Weyburn a safe place. Police, fire. I think we've got great emergency services in this community. And the other one is recreational facilities. Are there some that are in dire straits right now? Yes, we have the pool. Huge surprise to everyone. Hopefully we can get that plan in place, and that will move forward in the near future. And then there's other facilities that are Spark Center, a jewel in the southeast. There are other ones that are near their end of life, and we have to put together plans to replace those, but without being a burden on the taxpayer also. So what can the city do to help businesses? The 3 top things: stick to what they do best.
Thank you. Kelly Sidlowski.
From the conversations I've had, there are a few challenges. One is the increasingly growing use of Amazon and like companies. It's very easy to get things rather quickly now, which takes away from our local businesses. So I think encouraging people to support local is very important. Secondly, employee retention. I think everyone faces this to some extent. It's definitely a larger problem in a smaller center. On a bigger scale, I think what attracts people in a large way is industry. So as we grow our industry, our community grows, and in turn, our small businesses are supported. So I think it's very important we keep growing our tax base. Lastly, I think is ensuring that we as a city make it easy for businesses to start up. We can review our policies and regulations regularly, make them business friendly, and ensure our commercial taxation is kept low. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Laura Morissette.
Thanks, Stephen. My husband and I owned a business a decade ago. It's hard to believe it's been that many years since we closed our doors. So we are all too familiar with the challenges of small businesses. The three that I see are rising business costs, online competition, and staffing. So to combat those, I will listen to the business community when making decisions on tax increases, encourage incentive programs, support partnerships with the Chamber, Economic Development, and Community Future Sunrise, who can provide resources and information about staying competitive in an online shopping-dominated society. And I will work to keep Weyburn an affordable place to live where people want to stay and make our city their home.
Thank you. And Lori Weyburn.
Hi, okay, my three challenges that I've identified is that we're only an hour away from Regina. I can remember as a kid going to that city, going to the big city for the dentist appointment and going, that was about the only time you went to Regina. Well, this time, or this year, I usually go there 2 or 3 times a week, and what we need to identify is a program where live in your community, support your community. The other challenge that we have, of course, is online purchases, Amazon and other businesses. I mean, anybody under the age of 40, that's how you do your business. And I guess that's what I would like to identify as a city response or encouragement through the library, is to offer businesses an opportunity to learn how to put your businesses on the web as a website. I checked out the Chamber's website, and you do have all of your businesses identified, but most of those businesses don't have websites. So yes, I know the location, I can find out your phone number, but I don't know what you provide for me. And so to attract those younger people to your business, you need to tell them what you have. You look at your local co-op food store, you can phone and get your ordered online or through the phone, and they will even deliver it. And so I guess what I'm suggesting is that there should be initiatives put forward where, in order to keep your younger families coming to your businesses, we need to open up a market on the website so that they know what you provide. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. For our next question. Weyburn has a strong history of hosting events like the Saskatchewan Oil and Gas Show, which have significantly supported our local hotels, restaurants, and other business sectors. How would you work to strengthen and enhance the impact of those existing events, and what specific improvements or additions would you suggest to make them even more successful for our community? And we'll begin with Dana Pretzer.
You start with the tourism groups, you start with the Chamber, you start with the media, you do everything you can. We could sit here tonight and say we'll get Taylor Swift to come do a concert in Weyburn if we change her name to Way Swift. Well, that's not going to happen. But we can also, I thought I'd at least get a laugh out of that. We could at least have something more. We have the facilities. We could work with the hotels to maybe get some cut rates. We can encourage maybe go on some trips and sell Weyburn. Again, let's talk about why Weyburn. So we could do that. Why not Weyburn? We have the facilities, maybe not as big as they could be, but we could have bigger things here. The more events in Weyburn, the more activities in Weyburn, better for the economy. It's just that simple.
Larry Hicks.
Thanks, Steve. As a longtime member of the Oil Show Board, I can understand and I agree with the spin-offs that's generated from it. From a chamber perspective, we always used to say every dollar in the gate is 7 in the local economy, so there's huge opportunity there. The keys to this, providing these types of events, I think in general to make them better, is creating a single point of contact at the city. When you're hosting an event of that size and that nature, where someone would be the conduit for the rest of the departments within the city, whether it be to get permitting, whether it to be not only to prepare the facilities so they're ready to go, but also to have the manpower available if needed to help with those types of events and preparing them as needed. And for a long time, I've always thought that every large event that's booked through leisure services in Weyburn, be it a soccer tournament, a hockey tournament, whatever that might be, is passed along to the Chamber and Weyburn Tourism. And those events could be sent out to the local hotels, the restaurants, so not only Weyburn can put its best foot forward, but those facilities, those businesses are prepared. They're prepared for the influx of the people. They've got the right staffing amount, their complement for the day, and everyone's able to capitalize on the event, and Weyburn can showcase the great city it is to live in.
Thank you. Ryan Jenke.
Thank you, Stephen. The Southeast Oil and Gas Show is something everybody in this room and everyone in this community should be very proud of. I'm proud to have been a member of it for a long time. I got a couple oil show facts I want to share here really quickly. I've talked to members of the Calgary Oil Show Board, and all the competing shows they have all across the country, Weyburn is the only one they take seriously and the only one they're afraid of. They kind of dance their schedule and their thins around what we're doing to make sure that they don't have to compete directly with us because they don't think that they could do it. About 10 years ago, I think it was a councillor from Regina approached us wanting to put together some kind of a partnership between Weyburn and Regina for this show. Obviously, we told them to pound sand because I know exactly what they were trying to do. They don't think they can compete with us. They were just trying to steal our show. So, I mean, that's the kind of attraction we've got right here with that. So in terms of what can do to make it better, Monica, you and I need to figure out an app for that thing so you'll know what's going on. I've got some ideas. We'll talk about that offline. I feel like that's not what the question's actually about. Some more parking would be good in the area. But what we really need to do to turn that into a successful event and grow the whole concept of these events in Weyburn is build some more things around it. I talked about street fairs in my first answers, blocking off 3rd Street, turn it into a pedestrian street so we can do more stuff like that. Something like that would work perfectly. This year, the Oil Show brought the Canadian Finals Rodeo in, which has nothing to do with oil and gas, but it was a fantastic event that got people to come in early and stay longer. Pump Jack does an event, and their manager told me that even though it was so windy one night it blew the tent down, they had the busiest 3 days of the year for that. We can do a whole lot of that stuff. I mean, we've got a lot of history we could promote in our town and turn it into a whole week event. So when people come here for the oil show, they stay for the whole week, weekends on both sides, fill up our hotels and stuff. And that's what will turn this event into something that'll snowball. People will come here and think, Weyburn's a great place to have these things. What else can we do here? You know, I've talked about why not Weyburn a whole bunch. What's Up Weyburn is a fantastic campaign too to promote our tourism industry and really get these ideas snowballing.
Thank you. And Todd Bedore.
I think Mr. Jenke was looking at my notes.
Sorry, Todd.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of serving on the Oil Show Board for 2 or 3 or 4 shows, I can't remember. But I think the Oil Show does a fantastic job engaging the community, hotels, restaurants, and they really flourish. And this is also a primary fundraiser for a lot of our nonprofits in town. A lot of that money goes right back in our community that way as well. We need to work closely with the board of anything, but mostly the oil show, make sure our facilities and grounds are still meeting their requirements. Whether it's the oil show, a dance competition, or minor sports in Weyburn, we have a captive audience that is spending in our community. We need to promote what we have to offer as a city, but also be a conduit of information to our business community, because that's where you could really take advantage of that. We need to continue to invest in our facilities, our parks, sports venues to attract these events and make sure they do not go into another community, because we're always in a competition. And one thing we don't want to take these for granted at all. We need to keep working to keep them here.
Thank you. And our next question is for our mayoral candidates. As Canada shifts towards green energy, what approach would you recommend for Weyburn to balance introducing green initiatives while maintaining our strength as a resource-based community? And we'll begin with Marcel Roy.
I can say that as we were, both Jeff and I were on the part of the council at the time that Spark Center was being built. If we had done the green initiatives on that Spark Center, it would have cost upwards of $5 to $8 million more. It was this, Al Gore said we were all going to die in 1990 because of the heat. We are still here. Little Greta said we were going to die in 10 years ago, and we're still here. We've got to be sensible about what we're talking about here. We are an oil and gas community out here. We are producing oil and gas down in this territory. We make a tremendous amount of royalties for our provincial government that we can do. We have to look ahead, yes, about how we're going to produce power. If Estevan down the road didn't have the power plant, if people remember back in the 60s before they got the power plant, they were less than what we were. We were the Queen City over them. They got the power plant. If the power plant goes down, it'll be a lot of change. And that's cheap energy brings people brings people into prosperity. That is the single thing. Green energy is expensive. Look what happened with Germany. Green energy impoverishes people. You will have to, this nuclear plants that they're talking about is a wonderful thing that we have to look forward to. And we have to work together to make sure that we move forward to this nuclear plant, and that they said 1 to 2 down there. Hopefully there'll be 2, if not more, to keep this going. We as a city, we've met with SAS Power numerous times about the initiative of nuclear power going forward. That is what we've given our support towards it, and we will continue our support towards the nuclear power that they want to get in our grid, so that we have good, cheap energy for our province and for all of our residents to keep our factories, our oil fields going, our agricultural businesses going. We need cheap power.
Thank you. And Jeff Richards.
Thanks, Steve. All good answers. I'm going to take with your permission, I'll take a different spin on this. Weyburn's economy does benefit greatly from the oil and gas sector, and anybody who isn't thinking that needs to rethink their thoughts. I think we all get that. I think that we all know also that oil and gas isn't going anywhere soon, and that is an okay thing. Let's not forget, when we're talking about alternative energies and alternative uses, we have the world's largest CO2 storage and enhanced oil recovery operation in our backyard with Whitecap, the world's largest. There's more work to be done around that. But when it comes to green energy, or I think more specifically, we're talking about lower emissions energy, work is going to start to happen, and I would like us to be at the forefront of that. Here's what I mean. Arizona Lithium's Prairie Lithium project is happening just south of Weyburn, between us and the US border. Now, they're just getting rolling, but we need to be banging on their door, and I know, Monica, that you are banging on their door. We need to bang loudly. We need their head office here. We need their service providers in Weyburn. We need the people that provide service to their service providers looking at Weyburn. That's where we fit in, I believe, to the low carbon economy of the future, is being the center of it here. The industry will figure out how they're going to make electricity. SAS Power will buy it from them, and they'll transmit it around. That's what's going to happen. My final statement on this would be, we need to be open for business here. Now, it doesn't mean anything goes, but we need to be open for business in Weyburn. We weren't 40 years ago, and it hurt us. This time we need to be open. And when industry comes banging, we better be ready for them, and we better understand what we will and won't do for them. That's what I would say about green energy. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, it's been a little bit that you've been answering these questions, so we're going to give you guys a bit of a break. We're going to take a 10-minute recess to allow you guys to grab your water, use the facilities and others. So we'll be back in 10 minutes. We'll now resume the forum, and we will move on to the questions that were posed from the general public that were received prior to tonight's forum. Again, a reminder that we won't be taking any questions from the floor tonight. And candidates will be given 1 minute each to respond to the questions that they're asked. For question 1, the candidates who will be answering are Lori Weyburn, Kelly Sidlowski, Laura Morissette, and Larry Higgs. The question is, with the opening of the new hospital, there is a unique opportunity to attract and retain doctors and other healthcare professionals to Weyburn. What specific strategies would you propose to ensure that the city leverages this new asset to make Weyburn an appealing place for healthcare professionals to live and work? And we'll begin with Lori Weyburn.
Okay, the question I think is asking what would the city be involved in encouraging the health professionals residing in the community? Is that the question? I think the city of Weyburn would be involved in providing services to them, of free services at the Spark Center or some of our recreational facilities. I know that to entice people to come to Prince Albert, that was one of my, it didn't take long, 30 seconds. To entice people to come to Weyburn, what we need to do is to provide services such as free access or discounted access to our rec facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly Sidlowski.
I actually had this answer as my the biggest opportunity for Weyburn, or part of it. I think there's an opportunity for Weyburn to help fill gaps potentially in the healthcare system. We obviously can't do it directly, being provincial jurisdiction, but working closely with our MLAs and even our MPs on how we can lobby things to help us out. But I know people who drive to Regina and the city for treatments, therapy, dermatology, day surgeries, and I think that there is a unique opportunity for us to capitalize on that, and why can't, there is no reason that Weyburn can't be the place to fill some of these gaps.
Thank you. Laura Morissette.
Thanks, Stephen. So first of all, family. We have to make sure that the family of all of the new potential healthcare workers that move to our city want to stay here. We have to make them feel welcome, find job opportunities for their significant others, and just make them feel welcome. I worked with the Doctor Retention Committee, and a lot of the doctors I worked with, they would come here for their 2-3 year contracts, but they wouldn't draw or make roots here. So that is one of the first things I would do. I would also ensure that there are programs for all healthcare positions by working with the colleges and universities. And it's not an overnight fix, so we really need to consult with the frontline workers to see what works for them and how we can improve on it.
Thank you. Larry Higgs.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, working on the doctor retention program years ago, along with Laura and some of the other counselors, current counselors, we need to do that. We need to do exactly what Laura said. We need to make sure that those families are welcome here. We're able to help them find jobs. We need to it has to be the community that they want to move to, that part. Now, doctors is just one piece of that. The whole nurses struggle that we're having across the province, these are SHA and provincial issues and initiatives that have to be dealt with to a certain degree at their level. We need to continue to keep the pressure on them with the right people in council and the communication with the MLAs in the province. That's where we'll get the funding and the necessary pieces to bring them doctors and nurses to the community.
Thank you. For our next question, the candidates who will be answering are Dana Pretzer, John Corrigan, Ryan Jenke, and Todd Bedore. What will be your approach to long-term planning to ensure that all leisure service facilities are adequately renovated to meet the needs of the community and specific user groups? How will you ensure the community and user groups are involved during the process? And we'll begin with Dana Pretzer.
First of all, the leisure services issue is next to public safety, infrastructure, and taxes is a big issue in the community. I compliment Larry Higgs for asking for investigations into 16th Street, but what about the pool? The pool is crumbling. And it shouldn't be a big surprise because it's been closed more than it's been open lately. We've got to involve all the groups, the public. We want to bring people to Weyburn, but they say, well, what about a swimming pool? Well, we're trying to get it fixed. No, we're trying to do this. So what we need to do is involve more people, spend some money. There's only so many reserves, but we got to get it fixed right, and make sure that we can show off and brag about our leisure services in Weyburn.
Thank you. John Corrigan.
Thank you, Steve. I'm surprised this question came up. But yeah, in the long term, what has to be done is to evaluate all our facilities to see what the lifespan is on each and every one of them, and to develop a replacement plan or renewal plan for each one. Now, when it comes to the pool, obviously that's something that we want to get done as quickly as possible, but yet the right way. So we're waiting for plans to come to council, at least when we last met, and once those recommendations come forward, I think at that point, depending on what those recommendations are, we do need to have those discussions within the community and get feedback from all the user groups, not just the user groups, but people in the community who don't even use the pool, because that impacts everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan Jenke.
Okay, there's a couple points I want to make about the pool in particular. First is that we don't need to have any finger pointing at the people currently in administration about the situation at the pool, because that's an issue that's been structurally in that building since 1992 and didn't rear its ugly head until right now. In 1992, I was 12. Marcel was a cop. Jeff Richards had hair. Like, it was a long time ago. And what we need to focus on is how to move forward with this. And it's going to be a tough choice for the incoming council, because we either have to repair the existing pool or figure out if it can be repaired and if it's worth repairing with the cost. So in either case, the question about involving people in the community is, we need to know if what we've got right now is actually adequate for our needs to begin with. I hear from a lot of people who, even when the pool is at 100%, have to take their kids out of town in order to get them into swimming lessons because they fill up in Weyburn so fast. So there's some serious questions that need to be asked around that, and we need to engage all of the stakeholders in the pool, and the same applies to the other ones. So if you have thoughts on this, I encourage you to reach out to me and we'll get that started.
Thank you. And Todd Bedore.
Thanks. I think I'm going to steer clear of the pool because that's been talked about a little bit. But I think in general, when you're building a facility or renovating a facility, you need to definitely engage your user groups. What was good 10 years ago is not good now. My kids grew up playing football. I coached football for many years in the hockey rink, in the pool. Water polo was not a sport in Weyburn 25 years ago, but it is now, and my son played water polo for many years. So our pool was not very good for water polo. So we need to keep on growing and engaging our community, and that's where it starts, our users.
Thank you. And for our next question, the candidates will be answering are Jeff Richards and Marcel Roy. One thing that people factor into their decisions when relocating to a new community, such as Weyburn, are activities for young families, and those activities tend to be sports and the arts. What can you suggest to incentivize and promote those activities in Weyburn? Jeff Richards.
Thanks, Steve. Great question. I think that a part of this is about understanding what it is people want first. I am not the guy that's going to tell you what a 16-year-old kid wants to do, because I've been wrong more than I've been right on that. But what we do is have a very good youth council in this community. I've worked on that youth council since day one. They have given us some great ideas. One of them is happening right next door. Things like the pump track that's going in the Young Fellows Park on the old Egg School lot. So incentivizing the development, I think, is through partnerships with the young fellows. That's huge. I also think that we need to understand what the next 30 years in Weyburn looks like, because you're right when you say that that is what will bring people to our community, are those leisure services. Safe community, leisure services, those are the things that make our community attractive. So I think it is communicating and finding out what people want, prioritizing it, long-term planning. We talk lots about budgeting. We can't do one-year budgets anymore. Our budgets in this community got to be maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, so we can do long-term planning for things like facilities, streets. Thank you.
Marcel Roy.
Again, he takes away a lot of the thunder of what he's going to say. But to add to what he is saying there, what happened with the Spark Center, both he and I were on the board, on the council at that time, but we would do the same thing, and that was why the Spark Center, I believe, is a jewel. We had user groups come up, and they spoke in the council chambers, and they planned together. It was opened up. Everybody put up what they wanted and what they did. Our groups went out and saw, our administration went out and saw a variety of different groups out there to see what was needed. And that is how you got everybody involved to make that facility what was required. So that's you. And then as far as the arts go, you young fellows, I was just going to compliment that concert in the park that they did. Unbelievable event. More events by this, and we really have another jewel in here, and I'm not just stroking it for election things, but we really do. The young fellows is another jewel in our community. So these are the things that make things happen and what the community spirit is about.
Thank you. Now, to conclude the evening, we will have closing statements from each candidate, and each candidate will be allowed 1 minute. And we'll begin with Todd Bador.
Just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's nice to see a full engagement here in our city. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself right now. I'm born and raised in Weyburn. I raised my family in Weyburn, heavily involved in sports in the community. I've been a community leader within Weyburn, but also outside of Weyburn with my Telemiracle experience. I was on the Telemiracle board in different fashions for over 20 years. Chaired Telemiracle 40 and was board chair for a while. I am engaged in this community 100%. You might even see me sitting in the pub having a beer. Yeah, but I am engaged and out in this community 100% all the time, and I will continue doing that for you guys as a councillor.
Thank you. Ryan Jenke.
Thanks, Stephen. I love to see the engagement. I love to see how many people are out here. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Monica and Stephen, for putting this on. And thank everyone for being here. And I think it's a testament to the strength of our community that we have this many people who are standing up and wanting to be part of municipal government. Not every community has that, and we should be proud of that. I've always been proud to be a part of this community. I've worked here in education, in healthcare, and in banking right now. All places that love to give back to the community. I'm very proud to be a past president of the Young Fellows Club. I'm hesitant to talk too much about the theater project going on next door because that's just something I happen to be a part of, and it's not a City of Weyburn event. But I'm so honored to be able to give back to the community in any way that I can, and I would be thrilled to be able to do that for another 4 years. 4 years ago at this event, Councillor Richards and I had a little private bet about who was going to be the hardest working guy in the room, and I have no idea who won that bet, and it doesn't matter because we've been lucky enough to have 7 people doing that for the last 4 years.
Thank you. John Corrigan.
Thank you, Steve. And I'd like to just echo some of the other statements that have been made. It's great to see so many people out tonight, to see this sort of engagement from the community. As I mentioned earlier, it's quite different from the last time we had this 4 years ago, in a time we'd all like to forget. And Weyburn is a fantastic community. I've lived here my entire life, have a passion for the community, and having represented the citizens on council for the last 4 years, it's been an honor. But things look different from the inside than they do from the outside. And I've learned that over the last 4 years, and I'd hope to be able to continue that work and represent you, the citizens of Weyburn, in the best way possible and get your voices heard within that chamber and moving forward. So, thank you.
Thank you. Dana Pretzer.
I came to Weyburn 42 years ago, and in that time I raised a family. I was chairman of the public school board. I've been on many committees and boards in the community, but most of all is I'd like to help people. People have been able to come to me, and I'm just, what you're looking at is what you're going to get. I'm going to be the voice of the people. I'm not going to be a rubber stamp for administration. I'm going to take your concerns. I'm going to take your comments, and I'm going to represent you. So I ask for your support on November 13th for City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. And Larry Higgs.
Well, first off, thanks to the Chamber Board and Monica for putting on these events. It really gives us as a candidate an opportunity to get in front of not only business but residents all in one place. So I really thank you for that. And I thank the other candidates for putting their name forward. It is a daunting task when you put your name on that ballot, and I can attest to that. But more than that is thanking the residents of Weyburn. I was only elected a short time ago in a by-election. For you guys putting your belief and your trust in me in order to represent you on City Council is really an honor for me. So anybody that knows me knows that I have a common sense approach to everything I do. I think you need that in all decision making. I'm passionate, I love this community, and on November 13th, I just simply ask for your support, so thank you.
Thank you. Laura Morissette.
Thanks, Steve. First of all, I'd like to express my appreciation to the Chamber for organizing tonight's forum, as well as those of you who have come out to learn more about your potential candidates. Thank you to my fellow candidates. Running a city is a team effort, and I look forward to working with all of you. It's been a privilege to serve the citizens of Weyburn for the past 2 terms as a councillor. If given the opportunity for a third, I will continue to ask the tough questions, make informed decisions, and most important of all, listen to the residents and address their concerns. In saying that, I look forward to new challenges, like sitting on the Police Commission, finding new and unique ways to support the public library. And if I haven't had the opportunity to address your concerns tonight, please feel free to reach out to me anytime. On November 13th, I ask for your support so that I can continue towards making Weyburn a safe and inviting place where people want to live, work, and raise a family.
Thank you. Kelly Sadlowski.
Yes, thank you to Stephen, Monica, and the Chamber for hosting this tonight. It's really exciting to see as many people out tonight and engaged. Thank you to everyone sitting beside me for putting their names forward and running for public office. I speak about relationships often. Relationships are extremely important to me. I've spent the last 8 months building relationships with many people throughout the community and plan on continuing to do so. I want to listen and I want to learn. I'm here to represent the taxpayer, and if there's anyone who hasn't felt like they have had someone on council to represent them in the past, I vow to be that voice for you. I want to help make this community a better place wherever possible. Please take the time to go out and vote on November 13th, regardless of which way you are voting. This is the chance to use your voice. And if you have any questions at all, please reach out to me.
Thank you. And Lori Weyburn.
Okay, yes, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, the opportunity to provide some background about myself. I have a strong belief in where the city of Weyburn should be celebrating, and offering community events is a highlight that I would like to stress. I believe that the building of community involves pride, and I think it's one of the assets or one of the priorities I would like to recognize as a council, how much pride we have in living in this community, this beautiful community. I'm also a team player, and I eagerly await comments from you guys so I can represent our community at council. I also love building relationships with committees. I've worked on many, many, many committees over the years, and I have the time and to provide to the service. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Richards.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for coming tonight. We've heard so many great ideas and lots of passion. There are a lot of great leaders up here, and I'm grateful for all these guys and grateful for you guys as well. Just remember, this election isn't about us though. It's about you guys. It's about the people that live, work, and raise families in Weyburn, just like I did with my family, 3/4 of whom are in the room here tonight. This is what this is all about. This is what Weyburn looks like going forward. We got to continue to grow and move forward. I believe our city's future is bright, but we need leadership. And yes, I have experience on city council. I've also got experience leading large organizations, and that's what I want to bring to the table, is that leadership. I appreciate the time to be here, and ladies and gentlemen, I mean it sincerely. I would be honored if you would allow me the opportunity to serve as your mayor for the next 4 years.
Thank you. And Marcel Roy.
Again, echoing what everyone said, thank you everyone for coming out. Thank you to the Chamber. A lot has changed in the last 8 years since I've been mayor, so I am, I guess, the mayor asking to be elected once more. We've continued, my priorities will be to continue progress on getting things done, remain open for business advancing forward, striving to ensure a safe and secure community, having responsible tax rates, support quality of life enhancing recreation, expand transparency and accountability. They say there are two types of politicians out there, those that follow and those that lead. I will not follow if it's to the detriment of our community and the detriment of our cities. I will always stand forward for the city of Weyburn, to our upper governments that we have to deal with. I will continue to working hard for this community. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes this portion of the forum. We're going to turn things over now to Monica Osborne.
On behalf of the Chamber, I would like to thank all the candidates for their participation in tonight's forum, as well as all of those who attended this evening. It has been a great event, and we appreciate all the dedication and commitment to the electoral process. We wish all the candidates best of luck in the upcoming municipal election held on November 13th, 2024. I hope that tonight you have been informed and you make a formal decision heading into the ballots. The Weyburn Chamber is looking forward to working with our new council. And on that note, I would just like to thank everyone again, and good night.
If you'd like to share your feedback on the program you just watched, contact us today